Good Friday to you. Hope your weekend is off to a great start. Thanks for joining us on More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. Browns getting ready for the Houston Texans to come into First Energy Stadium this Sunday. Browns are 3-point favorites, and they will welcome some Texans with familiar names. Former Browns head coach and assistant Browns head coach under Bill Belichick, Romeo Crennel is the interim head coach. Duke Johnson, former Browns running back, could very well be the lead back for the Texans this week. And Deshaun Watson, a guy that a number of Browns fans wanted to take coming out of Clemson, he will be the Texans quarterback. Now, Watson and the Texans offenses really put things together the last 4 weeks. They realized the challenges that the Browns defense presents. That would be Myles Garrett. But the key for the Texans the last 4 weeks has been they're not relying on just one guy.
I mean, just spreading the ball around, just continue to, have positive plays, stay ahead of the change, get the ball to different receivers and let the running backs run when they need to, and then me make plays when I need to, and just really just space guys out. And that's the, identity of our offense is really just trying to attack that way.
Well, first of all, you got to know where he is, okay? And so that's the big thing. And now then you got to determine what you need to do on your protection to try to slow him down. All right, can one guy do it? Or does that guy need help? And you can do that by sliding a line to him. You can do that by chipping him. You can do that by keeping a tight end in. So there's several ways that you could try to slow him down. And so as we go into the week, we'll figure out what we think is the best way for us to do it.
And what makes him deserve that type of, obviously he's a great football player, but what makes him great?
Well, he's got great length, first of all. He's good off the ball. He has body flexibility, so he can run under blocks. He can get around blocks, and he's got that drive that pass rushers, some of the great pass rushers have. He's got that drive to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, he's a beast. I mean, he, get paid what he got paid what he deserved. And he's a guy that's gonna, come every play. He's a guy that you have to worry about each and every time. He's a special talent, very athletic, can run, very powerful, very strong, can bend around the edge. So, he's a guy that we got to make sure that we can try to contain as much as possible and really, not let him take over the ball game.
Texans fired Bill O'Brien as their head coach a few weeks ago. Romeo Crennel took over as the interim head coach. Crennel was a Browns head coach, was also on Bill Belichick's staff in Cleveland as well. Now, he is concerned with the Browns running game, which without doubt is going to be significantly better as it's getting healthier and healthier. But Romeo Crennel also realizes that Baker Mayfield's beginning to develop.
Well, you gotta contain Baker, try to keep him in the pocket because he will run, and he will run up inside as well as run outside. So you have to get your guys to understand that. All right, Landry is a good, tough, hard-fighting receiver. He is very versatile. They use him in different ways. So we're going to have to do a good job against Landry. All right, their offensive line as a unit, I think that they're pretty good. So that causes problems, one, in the running game, and then two, in pass protection. So I think that they're putting a team together that will allow them to compete in their division. And that division has always been a tough division.
He's doing a good job. He's playing good football. I think he's a guy who can make the throws. He can also move around. He's effective in scramble situations. He can improvise very well. He can run for first downs if he has to, but he also can stay in the pocket, find the open man, deliver the ball. He's got the arm to make all the throws. So I think he's doing a good job. He's settling in, and I think he's playing well.
Hey, Romeo, what makes the Cleveland play action attack so effective, kind of just the way it's built schematically, that makes it a challenge for the defense?
The running backs, because if they can run the ball, and when Chubb was up, they had a good combination of Hunt and Chubb. Mm-hmm. Then when Chubb went down, Hunt took the load, okay? And he runs very hard. He's very determined. He gains yards that are not there. Okay, so when you have a running game, linebackers have to honor the run on any run fake. So that sucks them toward the line of scrimmage, which then creates space behind them in that middle area. And so when you can suck those linebackers up and then get a crossing route in behind them or somebody to hook up in behind them, then you can deliver the ball there. You can make yards, get first downs, and keep the sticks moving. And so I think the running game makes the play action.
Romeo Crennel, Texans interim head coach. And the Browns running game getting healthy with Wyatt Teller and Nick Chubb expected to be back. Browns 3-point favorites in this one, and the over-under seems a little low at 49. We'll talk a little bit about that with Dan Labbe straight ahead. Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, joins us. We will talk Browns offense as the run game is getting healthy. More sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Maurice, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. More sports and Les Levine. The Weekend Winners Edition continues. We've heard from some of the Texans. It's time to turn our attention to the Browns. And when we do that, we welcome in Browns beat reporter Dan Labbe. You can read Dan in the pages of the Plain Dealer. You can also hear him here on cleveland.com. Dan, as always, appreciate the time. The bye week and guys are returning and in droves, especially on the offensive side of the ball. How big of a deal is it that you get Chubb back, you get Teller back, you get Hooper back? Do you expect to see the same type of offense we saw when everybody was healthy earlier in the first half of the season?
I really do, with the one notable exception that you won't have Odell Beckham Jr. out there. And I still want to see how that impacts someone like Nick Chubb in the running game and how defenses play against him. But, yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be great for this offense to have all these pieces back. The Browns are getting healthy at exactly the right time. They kind of got all those injury issues out of the way. They're finally going to be healthy again right as this playoff push starts. So I think we're going to see an offense that looks a lot more like what we saw early in the year.
And the word is Nick Chubb has practiced without a knee brace. His comeback is, I don't want to say amazing, but it's quicker than many thought it would be.
Yeah, and you know, he was saying he was getting bored with rehabbing, so he's about ready to get back. And the fact that he doesn't have a knee brace really bodes well for him being able to play on Sunday against Houston and being close to 100%. I don't know if he'll be 100%, but he's going to be close enough to really be able to make an impact.
So let's dovetail off of that. What do you expect from Kareem Hunt? That's a guy that filled in pretty admirably. The line was banged up a little bit. What do you expect to see from him? And do you expect to see maybe a little bit more from him so they don't wear Nick Chubb out first game back?
This is going to be great for Kareem Hunt because he was banged up, and now you can kind of do that thing where Nick Chubb kind of starts you, and Kareem Hunt gets to be your closer, like what we saw against Cincinnati, for example, and we saw in some other games where Nick Chubb just wears you down for 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter, if the Browns had the lead, hey, guess what? Here comes Kareem Hunt. Now he's going to run the football. We see how hard he runs, how hard he is to bring down, and when you're a defense that's worn down and has been battering against Nick Chubb for 3 quarters, it makes Hunt that much more difficult to go against. And it also frees up Hunt now because you are going to have to find something in the receiving game. So it frees up Hunt to be maybe a little more of a receiving threat for you as well.
When you look at Wyatt Teller coming back, if you go back and look at where the Browns offense running the football was number 1 in the NFL and where it tailed down and now is kind of 5, 6, 7-ish, it coincides with not only Nick Chubb, but Wyatt Teller going out. How big of a factor do you think Teller is?
I mean, Teller's a mauler. That's really all there is to it. And when you look at some of those big runs, you see number 77 out in front leading the way, and you just didn't have that with Chris Hubbard. Hubbard did an admirable job. He filled in well, but Wyatt Teller's athletic. He's tough. He can move. He does all these things you want him to do. And when you combine that with Joel Bitonio, who can do a lot of the same things, it kind of gives you an opportunity. Now you've got maybe a tight end blocking, you got a fullback, you got a right guard out pulling. There's so many different things you could do in this run game when you have a guy like Wyatt Teller out there. So I don't think it's any coincidence that the run game tailed off, not just because Nick Chubb was out, but also because Teller was out.
You also mentioned Hooper coming back, Austin Hooper. That's a guy who's, I think the way he contributes to the run game might be underestimated because he's pretty good pass catching tight end as well, but he is part of the running game.
Right, he's not putting up the numbers he did in Atlanta just yet, but Kevin Stefanski praised him on, I believe it was Monday, about what he's brought to this offense. Not even though his numbers are down, that they do a lot of things thanks to Wyatt Teller. And what I want to see now is maybe they can bring back some of those tight end screenplays and quick little things that maybe you can't do with Harrison Bryant, even though he's been really good. But there's just certain things you can maybe do with Austin Hooper that you can't do with some of these other guys, and that's what I'm really hoping to see coming out of this bye.
What do you think the passing game looks like minus Odell Beckham Jr.? That's obviously one of the big pieces that won't be back this week or for the rest of the season, for that matter. Underwent successful ACL surgery, but they don't often say that you've had unsuccessful ACL surgery right after you had it. So what do you think this passing offense looks like?
Well, they lose that downfield threat, and they lose a guy that you just have to respect no matter what, even if he's not getting targeted, even if he's not getting the football. If you don't have Odell Beckham Jr., you don't have to pay that much attention. Now, Donovan Peoples-Jones, maybe he can be a little bit of that, but until he really shows it consistently, you're not going to cheat safeties over. You're not going to have help coming his way. So that's going to free somebody up to maybe play closer to the line of scrimmage and try and shut down the run game, maybe cover a tight end. Now for a guy like a Rashard Higgins, he's going against your number 2 corner now, not your nickel guy, not a safety, not a linebacker. He's got to work against a better corner. So there's just this domino effect that happens with Odell Beckham out.
How do the Browns get around that with Baker Mayfield as well? Is it more controlled passing? Do you roll them out? What do you expect to see passing game wise, given that you can't stretch the field like you normally would?
It really, I think you kind of hit it there. It's that quicker passing game. It's getting him out of the pocket. It's using play action. It's trying to use, trick the defense's eyes a little bit, maybe get that safety, out of the box if you can by loosening up things over the middle. I think it's going to be the Browns kind of going to their bread and butter. It might not be a super dynamic passing game, but they're going to look to be an efficient passing game to at least loosen up the defense and get them going, one way and then the football goes the other. You never quite know where it is at any given moment. That's really what they're going to have to try and do.
How big of a concern do you think J.J. Watt is on that defensive line, and how do the Browns get around that with the offensive line?
Well, this isn't the J.J. Watt that won all those Defensive Player of the Year awards, but he's still effective. He has 4 sacks this year, and he's getting help back. Whitney Merciless is supposed to be back this week. So he's coming back, and that Texans pass rush is going to be boosted a little bit. But this is a game where the Browns should be able to control things. This Houston defense just is not very good. They don't force a bunch of turnovers, and this is a defense that the Browns should be able to come out and say, this is what we want to do, and we're going to do it, and you're not going to be able to stop it. I feel like this game is going to feel a little bit like the Bengals game a few weeks ago, to be honest.
What do you expect to see from Baker Mayfield? The Las Vegas game, the game before the bye, couldn't really tell much. I mean, nobody could do much in the wind and weather conditions. What do you expect to see from Baker Mayfield as you move later into this season?
I think the goal is always going to be efficiency. You want him to be, obviously you love the aggression and you love what you saw against Cincinnati when he sort of looked like that Baker we saw his rookie season, but efficiency is really the key. Don't turn the ball over, complete a high percentage of passes, kind of take what's there, take what Kevin Stefanski schemes up for you, because maybe you don't have the big play capabilities that you used to have through the air when Beckham was around. So just be really efficient, run the offense, and when this team needs you to make a play, go make a play.
Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. We have to take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, Dan and I will flip sides of the football. We're talking Browns defense, Texans offense. More sports. Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
With an authentic Nature Stone garage floor. No more tripping on cracked, uneven concrete. Stop slipping on puddles and standing water. It's the safer, more beautiful garage floor that's easy to clean and never needs replaced. That's why it's backed by Russell's Promise. For a limited time, get more Nature Stone than ever before with up to half your garage floor free. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com to qualify for your free flooring. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. We continue to talk Browns-Texans kickoff 1 o'clock on Sunday. Let's welcome back in Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer, Dan Labbe. Dan, as always, appreciate the time. When you look at the Browns, is there anything you think they could have done during the bye week to help out the back half of that defense, particularly the safeties? That has been an area Browns have been beat up. Grant Delpit isn't coming back, so there isn't going to be a whole lot of help. Do you see any tweaks that they can make? Do you expect any tweaks, or is it basically what you have is what you have?
Unfortunately, I think it's what you have is what you have. And, a guy we keep talking about, Ronnie Harrison, hopefully out of the bye, he's going to be a little more ready to take on a bigger workload because we've seen some flashes of him being able to get his hands on the football, and he should have had a pick six against the Raiders early in that game, but he dropped it. I think he's probably the help you're looking for, giving him more of a role, giving him more of an opportunity, and hoping that he can force a few turnovers here and there, because that's really what this defense is built on. They have to force turnovers, and that's a very fickle thing to have to be able to count on as a defense. It can definitely go week to week, and against the Raiders, it just didn't happen.
The Texans have put things together a little bit the last few weeks on offense. Of course, fired their head coach, Bill O'Brien. Romeo Crennel, former Browns head coach and assistant under Bill Belichick, is the interim head coach. But, the guy that has to concern Browns fans is Deshaun Watson. He is a guy that he's just the type of quarterback that gives this team fits, because you think you have him, he scrambles, boom, he makes a play, or he's gone, 25 yards running the football.
Yeah, and he's having one of the best years of his career, especially throwing the football. And in the last 5 games, he's averaging over 300 yards. He's thrown 13 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So, I mean, even though the Texans are struggling and they're really bad this year, Deshaun Watson is still Deshaun Watson. And Browns fans know this guy's always going to be tied to the Browns until, whether it's Baker Mayfield or somebody else, until they find that quarterback, because he's the guy they traded away from back when he came out in the draft at number 12. So I'm sure Deshaun Watson is going to be coming to Cleveland, again, wanting to prove something that, hey, Browns, you should have taken me. What are you doing? He's got a little chip on his shoulder there. Even though this record isn't very good, Deshaun Watson is still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
And they do have some weapons. Now, David Johnson was having a pretty good year. Not sure if he's going to clear concussion protocol. Has not been able to as of yet, but there still is some time. That means the other Johnson, Duke Johnson, the former Brown, would likely be the guy. Didn't do great in that role after Johnson left the game last week. Dave Johnson, that is. What do you expect from Duke Johnson? And talk about a chip on his shoulder. I think he would come to First Energy Stadium with a pretty big one.
Yeah, I mean, Duke Johnson is a guy that Browns fans obviously loved, and he was productive here, but I think everybody also kind of knew this is a guy that's not really a featured back. He's best as a third down guy. Even if people wanted him to get more touches, I don't think anybody looked at him and said, this is a guy that gets 20 to 25 carries a game. So he's more of a change of pace guy, and so to put him back there and make him the featured back in an offense that does still try to run the football. This is not exactly all the time a super modern offense. They will, bash their heads into the line over and over again in spots, and that's not really what Duke Johnson is great at. So that would be a big break for the Browns if they're going against their old buddy on Sunday instead of David Johnson.
Yeah, if you want to run into a brick wall 35 times a game, I think the Browns defense will take that. But the other thing to keep in mind, though, Will Fuller is a guy who is healthy and is kind of one of the emerging guys that can get behind defenses. You have Brandon Cooks. You also have Randall Cobb underneath. You have Akins, who's now healthy, who, when he is healthy as a tight end, that should scare Browns fans. Tight end, he can run through defenses as well. So there are a number of weapons that secondary that hasn't been great other than Denzel Ward will have to deal with.
Even without DeAndre Hopkins, this is still an offense that can get the ball down the field. And Deshaun Watson is a quarterback that's going to be aggressive and going to look down the field. And you alluded to it earlier, the scramble drill opportunities that he's going to get. He's looking to throw the ball. He's not always out there looking to run. He's looking to extend plays and throw the football down the field to his targets. And I think he's getting more comfortable now functioning without DeAndre Hopkins and getting the football to these other guys. There's still a lot of speed out there. And that should certainly worry Browns fans, because we've seen Andrew Sendejo in a lot of these clips of these big plays. There's number 23 chasing a guy around. And the way the Texans win this game is if they score a ton of points and again, kind of win this thing as a shootout, and they've got the ability to do that.
So we've come to that time where we're going to ask you, Browns are 3-point favorites in this. Over-under is 49, which to me seems awfully low. 49 might be what the winning team scores in this one. But how do you see this unfolding?
I just keep thinking about that Bengals game a few weeks ago. And, if we're being honest, that was a coin flip of a game. And Cincinnati's defense is not very good, much like Houston's. We know about the Browns' defense. We also know both teams can score. I think the Browns can control the football a little more, though. And I think that's where the difference is. The Browns are going to win this game, but there are going to be a lot of points. I don't understand why that over-under is so low, but I'm going to say the Browns win this one 35-32.
Yeah, I think it's going to be high scoring, and it'll be a 3 to 6 point win for the Browns. The other thing that could derail it is turnovers, which let's hope that doesn't rear its head, being offensive turnovers for the Browns. The other thing, Dan, before we let you go, the Browns 5-3, and they have one of the easiest schedules moving forward in the NFL. That there are a number of games that should be wins. So if they do what they can do, if they take care of business, so to speak, they're looking at 9-10 wins, which would be a huge step forward.
I mean, there's a pretty clear path there, but there are hurdles in the way. Deshaun Watson is that hurdle. So the Texans aren't a good team, but they have a great quarterback. The Eagles, not a good team, but they have a great pass rush. So there's little things here and there that the Browns are going to have to avoid as they move along. But you still have the Jaguars. You should be able to win that game. I can't really think about what they would do that would cause the Browns problems. Same with the Jets. The Giants actually force a lot of turnover. So there's just little things here and there. But if the Browns take care of business against these teams they're supposed to, it makes games against Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore that much less important if you're trying to get to 10 wins.
Absolutely, and if you steal one of those, you feel good about what you look like going into the potential playoffs. We're talking playoffs, and it's closing in on Thanksgiving. Isn't that fun? Dan Labbe, as always, appreciate the time. Again, Dan Labbe, beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. Make sure you read Dan. I'm sure we will be checking in with you again next week. Thanks, Dan.
Yep, thanks a lot.
Well, that'll do it for this edition of More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. Les Levine back in the chair Monday from 6 to 7. Bud Shaw will be his guest, and we will be back here next weekend as well. Until then, stay safe and have a great weekend, everybody.